Y'all look in the camera.
All right, party people, ding, ding, ding. Happy New Year. We are back at it once again. This is going to be another dope and excellent installment of Ringside's Corner Confessions. I am Trey Amazing, your favorite part-time stripper, part-time mobile megachurch pastor, but full-time dating commentator of Atlanta. And today, on this awesome and epic Saturday, we have someone who is definitely no need of introduction, but he is new on the scene and he is making waves. We have my man Brian from BLK TOUCH, and he is you are the owner and creator of BLK TOUCH, which is pro-black erotica. Am I getting that right?
That's correct. That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. And so before we dive, and we're going to do a deep dive into today's topic. Pro-black erotica.
Right.
Well, before, what is the mission behind that? Because a lot of people, we know what erotica is, but you put that pro-BLK TOUCH on it. So how did BLK TOUCH come about, and what was the inspiration behind pro-black erotica?
So like before I even got into creating erotica, I was a network engineer for like 20 years, but during that time I picked up photography. And I've done a lot of implied nude photography with black women. I think they're beautiful. They're God's gift to man, right? So I've always adored black women, and when I picked up photography, I started shooting content primarily of them. And then in the beginning of 2019, I did like my first very sensual shoot, because the majority of the content that I shot before that was focused on, like, it was implied nude, so it was like artistic, and it wasn't very, like, the purpose wasn't for sexual or sensual stimulation. It was just artsy, artistic posing of women. But the first time I ever did a shoot with that was focused on sensuality and sexuality was a threesome shoot.
Nice.
But it's weird because there wasn't any like sexual interaction between the talent. They really were just kind of like posing, but people had never seen anything like that before. So I put this set of images out, I shared it with the talent, they posted it, and it went viral. And like I couldn't go on Instagram or Facebook at the time without seeing that popping up, and like my name wasn't attached to it because I wasn't a big fan of tagging my images. Mm-hmm. So it was like my work was everywhere and I didn't have a way of drawing that back to me. So I decided to start creating more sensual photos like that. And I decided to create a home for sensual work. Like my original account was called Brian Dwayne. Again, it was focused on implied nude. It was very sexual. Mm-hmm. So BLK TOUCH started because I wanted to create a home for my more sexual and sensual work. And it was just photos in the beginning. Like I didn't have a vision like the way I do now about creating erotica. I just wanted to take beautiful images of people in sexual poses. And so because I have a background in IT, I went and I built a website to support that. Mm-hmm. For like over maybe like a year and 4 months. It was free. You could just subscribe. In fact, most of this content on the site is still free. You can just subscribe to the mailing list and get access to all of it. And for a while, I just built a mailing list and I would just do these photo shoots. And I think it was mid-June of that year, 2019, that I started doing videos to support promoting the website, if that makes sense. I didn't pick up the camera to shoot videos to capture actual like pornography. The idea was tell a story up to a point and then let that story drive people to the website. And that is where the transition from just doing photo work to video work started.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you something. today's times, things can be very, tension filled with everything, going on with politics and social issues or whatnot. And, one buzz, race is always going to be a buzzword. It doesn't matter if you watch CNN or Fox, or it doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you're on. The word race can be a hot button issue. So when you have something like Black Touch, which it
on not just their struggle, but the nuance of their character, the challenges they might have gone through, the intelligence they might have. Like most of the time when you're consuming a story that is focused on our people's humanity, it's not Black people. Like the people who have the money, the producers, they tend to only value stories that reflect what they believe is a real good story. And unfortunately, Black people are usually not a part of the decision making when it comes to creating concepts like higher production quality content. So why is it important to have pro-Black erotica? Is to essentially tell our own stories for our own edification. Because from the moment that we were brought to this continent, our entire beings have been here for economic benefit of this system. Down to our sexuality, down to our reproduction, it was really just to benefit the economic structure or capitalism in the United States. So it's important to say that our pleasure is actually important as well. If you look at a lot of the content that features Black people in mainstream, we're more like a prop in a story. There was a funny little meme that came out recently, but it's funny, but it's true, right? They were talking about how when a story is about a white woman, it's Sarah learns a lesson or Tanya gets it the hard way, right? But when we talk about Black women, it's always on some derogatory shit, like this pregnant slut gets fucked by a gangster boo and all that extra dumb shit. So I'm very much against that mainstream mindset because I adore and I see the value in Black women as human beings first and foremost. So when I started creating the content, the goal was to show, have that my perspective reflected in the work. So at no point in time are we focused on objectifying. Excuse me, let me just do what I should have done before we started talking.
It's okay.
At no point in time do I objectify women in terms of saying BBC or BBW or talking about things that we can see with ourselves. Like if a woman is a bigger woman, we can see that, right? I like to tell a story about people in general, and the thing is that if you go and you look for content featuring ebony or Black, it's almost always about breaking them down into these sub-contexts of like what we're seeing. So if it's a big girl, she's a BBW. If it's a guy with a big penis, he's a BBC, right? Why aren't we just people enjoying ourselves and experiencing pleasure?
It's like you're broken down into a novelty, into a very specific
for consumption.
Yeah.
And so if you look at I don't want to mention these sites, everybody knows what sites are popular, but if you look at content featuring Black people on these sites, it is almost always tuned, manufactured, and marketed towards white male consumption. And I don't know if it's just a factor of racism, especially in America, that they don't care so much about the humanity, about or the pleasure received by, let's say, Black women. So majority of this content that's created, they don't care if the guys off in the scene, or how to get the guy consuming the content off. And yeah, my mindset is to try to honor that, the genuine pleasure and connection that Black people can have with each other without putting this silly story or concept around it. Well, I love stories, but I want the stories to be grounded in what I know is true about Black people. Like, we're whole, multi-dimensional beings, you know?
So let me ask you something. Someone tuning in to Black Touch, what do you feel, what do you hope that, what do you think they're going to get out of Black Touch? Let's just say that they're not going to get from, you know, we're not going to name drop some of the other sites,
Yeah.
but I mean, but there is a plethora of other sites that highlight erotica. You know, some may tap into Black erotica, or, you know, there's so many different genres and themes out there. But, you know, if you're promoting and marketing this to people who have, you know, access to other sites,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say, like, no, specifically with Black Touch? And you harped on this a little bit, but I really want you to expound on this. Specifically is what you're going to see when you go to the certain navigation bar, you type in Black Touch, you're going to get this as opposed to that. What would you say would be some of the central things that a viewer is going to get?
Well, one of the things, because I write just to be clear about how this all works, you're looking at like the whole show right here. I write it, I cast, I book locations, I shoot it, I edit it, I write the script and all of that stuff. So from the inception of almost every bit of concept, I'm looking to make sure that the women are the ones making the choice. Mm-hmm. They're not being put upon, they're not being stressed out or pressured into anything. If anything,
look like they're degraded.
They're not degraded because, well, you know, you can't have power and be a victim at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, like 95% of the time, when you have when you look at the content, women, even if they may be conflicted, it's still their choice to move forward. It's still their choice to choose, or they might even be the ones wielding power over a man. Mm-hmm. Now, why do I do this? Because I don't feel I don't feel comfortable consuming the content when it's the other way around. So I decided to create a space where Black women have a voice over how they're presented, what they want. They speak up on their own pleasure. Now, it's tricky because regular intimacy can be tricky, but now you're adding in cameras and all this other stuff. What I always do when I'm shooting is I focus in and I let the talent know that this is your moment. You enjoy it in any way you see fit. If you don't like something, speak up. If you do, encourage it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I do that is because I'm a great editor. I can run around in circles. I can shoot from the top down, left and right. But really, what we're looking for is that the people in that frame are enjoying themselves. So, I think, and this is the feedback I get. I think what people, when they come to the site and they consume it, they're seeing something closer and closer to what they know is genuine pleasure and what they know is genuine intimacy. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to find genuine pleasure and intimacy unless it's maybe a couple doing an amateur shoot that they're promoting and posting, right? Because they can just stick that camera up in the corner and they can do their thing and just act like the camera's not there. But in my case, I have lights, I have cameras, I have two different angles. I understand cinematography, so the look feels a little bit more grounded and more what we associate with production work. Mm-hmm. So that is sort of the thing that would separate Black Touch from most. Just posted, and the one before that, and the one before that, right? I sort of let them enjoy themselves, and I spend the time, my partner and I, we run around and capture the right angles, and then we stitch it together to be something that you genuinely don't get to see us. You generally don't get to see when you're looking at erotica featuring us. Yeah. So, I mean, with,
you have a majority of these sites, majority are going to be focused on the white audience. With Black Touch, is it this may be a dumb question, but I just feel compelled to ask. Is it all black all the time? Do you ever occasionally sneak in a white actor or actress to join? Or is it just with Black Touch, it's 100% black?
It's 115% black. I don't know how we exceeded that, but I checked the numbers and we're all the way black. No, but the truth is, I don't have a problem with, let's say, interracial or the existence of white porn. That doesn't bother me. It's sort of like, if I'm going to create something, I want to create what I want to see, what I enjoy seeing. And I don't force people to like or love it. If you come across it, if you vibe with it, here's a space where you can know every bit of content that's being uploaded is being uploaded with you in mind, and it's not fetishized, and you're not an object, right? So yeah, it's all black, just because the owner loves it that way. And I think we deserve a space for ourselves, a space of our own, where you don't have to type in ebony, which is, it's just a reflection of the world we live in, right? Because if you go and look up the definition of ebony, it's like a type of dark wood. It's not a person, even black is just a color. We're more than just a color. So yeah, that you're going to find content that's geared for you, that features people that look like you, whether it's a skin tone thing or body size or age. I try not to build scenes around, like I said, attributes of people, right? It's weird to me a little bit, because we span this gambit, and majority of the content that features us have a particular type of woman and looking a particular way, a particular type of guy with a particular feature looking a particular way, and it's like everything outside of that. There's so many of us that live outside of that space that are not taken into account when content is created.
So you think like a lot of the, now that you mentioned, I kind of agree with you. So a lot of, in many instances when you see black people on other sites, you're saying they, especially with black women, they all look a very specific kind of way. Well, there's a certain look that they're going for. Whereas in Black Touch, it's a variation, it's a myriad, because black beauty, black women, black people, very diverse as far as beauty. It doesn't come in a specific shade, size, complexion, hair texture, whatever the case may be. So with Black Touch, you highlight and exemplify it all, like the entire. Okay.
What
you're looking for, you can find on Black Touch.
Yeah, it's kind of like a combination of things. Like, if you don't discriminate, then more people feel open to trying to work with you, right? Because a woman of a particular size or age might not even try to go work with these other companies because they don't see themselves represented in the work. So the more I'm open to showing, like I said, these different, these different types of people, the more I attract that type of person to come and work with me. And I attract people who don't even make adult content, saying that they. That's always. I don't know. I guess it's a personal thing, because I don't think business is very much separate from who we are. Like, if you're going to build a business and your first focus is money, then you're going to look at what makes money and duplicate that. This is why we know about West Coast Productions, and they had like this particular thing going on, and it was like not that far off than if, let's say, a white man went and created his own all black production company. He would do the same things like a West Coast production would do. But if your first focus is not inclusiveness and is not trying to treat people like, like whole human beings and focusing on pleasure, then you're going to do what the industry shows you is a profitable thing. So you see even now with independent creators, you looking at, like, I'm on Twitter, I follow a lot of content creators, and I'm scrolling and I see so much people performing the act of sex, but it never, like, almost very, very rarely do you see them enjoying themselves. It's just like they're doing a thing over and over again, or they're trying to get your attention. Going through the motions. Or they're doing something that is just abstractly or just objectively not interesting, or just interesting to capture your attention, and then you ask yourself, how come this person felt the need to go that far? That's because as a regular consumer of mainstream content, if you're not shocked into paying attention, then you don't pay attention. Mm-hmm. And so people have been trained to think that the only way to get attention is to do outlandish things. Now, there's a space for that, but I genuinely don't think that it's benefits us to only see that. I think we need to see the other side of stuff. Sensual connection, women enjoying themselves, genuinely moaning out of pleasure. Like, these things, I think, are important for us to see.
I can dig it. Mm-hmm. Last question, and we want to get your just straight up honest reaction. Do you think there is a difference between erotica and pornography? I think, obviously a lot of people, and I know I'm guilty, use those terms interchangeably, but do you feel there is a difference? Like when you say, if someone were to label what you do pornography, would that still be an accurate depiction, or is erotica something else completely different?
That's funny, because in the beginning I was calling it porn and people were like, no, it's erotica. Like, they were telling me what I was doing wasn't porn. Mm-hmm. So to answer the question, I do believe there's a difference. I believe that the erotic content porn can encompass erotic content. So what I do is porn because it's created for sexual stimulation, right? Mm-hmm. But erotica, the term, the definition that I use is the same one that Audre Lorde uses, in that the purpose for erotica is to expose someone to their capacity for pleasure. And it doesn't mean only sex, right? So I'll give you an example. For 20 years, I was a network engineer, and towards the end of that career, I started this project. And the more I worked on this project, writing code, going on the website, working with people, creating work that genuinely drove me, the less I was inclined to enjoy my regular job. Now, why is that important? The more that I found something that was in alignment with who I was, that genuinely gave me pleasure, the harder it is for me to go back to what doesn't. And I believe that the purpose of erotica is to expose people to their capacity for pleasure. So if you are a woman who have been consuming porn for the longest time and you kind of feel disconnected from it, you just use it to stimulate yourself, but then you see she speaks up for her own pleasure. She's like telling the man, touch there, go slower, do this, do that. You almost never see that in content, right? So what this does is, in alignment with the concept of what we consider erotica, is that using that erotica, this woman now sees that there is another way to experience pleasure, and it gives her a vision of what she could experience, right? So yeah, I make it on purpose to create that mindset, to create that space where we can transcend just being stimulated and sort of imagine what genuine pleasure we could experience, So yeah, this is erotica. I've changed my mind. I'm not just saying, oh, it's just porn. It is genuinely erotica. It has a purpose that's higher than just stimulation. And every time I shoot, I try to drive it closer and closer to achieving that.
Okay. I'm digging that, Brother Brian. For the people out there viewing this and want to find Black Touch, they want to connect with you and follow some of your work, how can they go about doing that? Where can they follow you on social media, and what's your website? Okay. So everything is under the same name at the current point in time, because Instagram tomorrow could go like that, and I'm gone, and Twitter could go. But it's all BLK TOUCH, Black Touch. On Instagram, Twitter, also on TikTok, but not that much. And the website itself is blacktouch.com, BLKTOUCH.com. And yeah,
it's free to subscribe. So the first thing I ask of people is just to subscribe. Once you subscribe, you click on the link and you come back, you're going to see there's like 78 scenes. Mm-hmm. And there's stories and videos and clips, and all of it shot by me. All of it is done with intention, right? Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like it's evolved into a love letter to the black women to say that this is what I have to offer, if that makes sense. And that covers a lot of different things, of course, but that's definitely what the purpose of the project is.
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to make sure we're going to have those links in description. Everyone, if you want to find Brian and find Black Touch, go ahead and just check out the description. We'll make sure we have his social media and his website and everything. He's just one click away. Black Touch, Brian, thank you so much for this interview.
No problem. Thank you.
This has been awesome. Certainly learned a lot. So really, extend a big debt of gratitude towards you, because again, you answered some questions that I had, especially, like I said, I know I'm guilty of using pornography and erotica interchangeably. So I do appreciate your breakdown in that. So everybody, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go ahead and you punch that subscribe button, and always remember, stay tuned to Ringside's Corner Confessions. And again, make sure you follow Brian at Black Touch, subscribe to him, and we will catch y'all next time. And we out.